It really is a madness that strikes us every single March. Millions and millions of people that normally are very sane, very rational, will spend countless hours trying to fill out their brackets. They'll watch all these preview shows, watch all these type of videos, thank God, trying to get advice on how to fill out their brackets. Countless man hours and women hours will be wasted at work on the pursuit of that great bracket. That will give you bragging rights at work, perhaps win you millions of dollars. Yeah, right. But the bottom line is we do it because it's a thrill, and millions of people gamble on it as well. Now, to me personally, I think it's kind of insane. I mean, to me, it's also no different than the logic that I apply to when I'm standing in line to pay for my big gulp at 7-Eleven. And there's somebody in front of me buying, 17 scratch-off tickets. And I'm thinking, the odds of you winning are astronomical. The payoff might be astronomical as well. But I could give you a game that's got a 50-50 betting proposition to win. To me, the games are all that matters. But I will say this. The one thing that I think that gives me an inherent advantage over most of you and most of the TV commentators and most of the general public out there, and it really is not just me, but most handicappers that really put something into the job. A lot of handicappers just don't care, especially when it comes to college basketball. But if you do this and really put it in, the work into the job, well, you have an inherent advantage because for the past 5 months, I've been looking at all these teams. There's 343 Division I teams, actually 347 Division I teams, and I can probably tell you something about 250 of them easily because I've probably studied at least 250 of them since the season started back in November. So these smaller conferences that have earned their automatic bids or punched their ticket, these games that you've got to win in that first round to give yourself a hope because you need quantity in order to progress through the bracket. Personally, I think that if you don't have at least 24 to 26 first-round winners, your bracket is shot before it even starts, okay? I think that as a handicapper, and particularly in my case, that gives me the advantage because, again, I'm familiar with a lot of these teams. So I'm going to use this video port not to tell you the benefits of, the 5-12 seed or, that no number 16 seed has ever beaten a number 1 seed or how the 2-15 matchup has turned out over the years. You can find that a million different places. Instead, you can download my bracket, which is right on the site, and I'm going to bring you through my bracket and the logic and behind the selections right through the Final Four to the championship game. So if you haven't gotten it, let me give you a second to go ahead and get it. Go ahead. Come on, do you really think I'm going to sit here and wait for 10 minutes for you to go to get it? But listen, you go to the site, pause the video, you download the bracket. It's a PDF. You can print it all out. Myself and all the handicappers are putting up their brackets here at the site. We've done it for years, and I think it's a really cool thing to do. Oh, FYI, before I get to the bracket, let me also give you a little tip in terms of betting here at the site. Who are the hottest handicappers going into this week's action? Well, truth be told, it would be myself. It would be Jack Brayman, Eric Schroeder, or Eric Schrader. I always get confused on how he likes to pronounce his name. Chuck O'Brien. You can see all their records on the site. You can see all their winning streaks on the site. Chris Jordan has cooled off since that incredible run that he had in November, December, and January. But the fact is that he still made $1 bettors over 38, 39 grand since the end of November. Guys who are not hot at all. Trace Adams. Oh, actually, I take that back. Trace Adams has finally turned a little bit of a corner, but he really has been cold for quite a while. Brad Wilton has been ice cold. Anthony Redd has been ice cold. So those are guys that, I got to be honest with you, I think that you should avoid here in the upcoming games. Also, something else to point out to you. Don't frown on the little tournaments, the NIT, the College Basketball Insider, the College Insider Tournament. There is a lot of money to be made in these little minor league tournaments because the odds makers aren't concerned about them because everybody's focus is on the big dance. But this is how Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even through the bulk of the tournament next week as well. And the minor league tournaments, this is where you pad your bankroll. This is a lot of work. On my part, I can tell you, it's a hell of a lot of work to handicap these smaller tournaments, but you'll find soft numbers and you'll find easy winners in these minor league tournaments as opposed to the sharp lines you're going to find in the big dance. Okay, so let's get going here and we'll take it from the top hand, the left-hand side of your, let's talk about the first four. I think USC got a raw deal being members of the first four play-in games. Listen, Southern Cal, a lousy road team, but this is a team that, played in one of the top conferences in the country. And the fact that they're relegated to a play-in game against Providence, I think that's ridiculous myself. But that's how the cookie crumbles, and I think USC is by far the more talented team. Providence had its chance. All it had to do was beat Creighton. It carried a 6-game winning streak into the Big East tournament. Couldn't get the job done. Although the Friars finished strong, came from a very good conference as well. I just don't think they're going to get the job done. So I like USC to win that play-in game. Mount St. Mary's in New Orleans. Listen, I actually handicapped the New Orleans championship game against Texas A&M Corpus Christi on Sunday, and I thought New Orleans would win a tight game, and they did. And I like New Orleans in this contest against Mount St. Mary's to advance. NC Central and UC Davis, geez, talk about a tough game. It's almost a throw-up, pick-em game, and, I could go either way in this contest, to be quite honest with you. I took NC Central in this spot, but what can I tell you? Hey, they're going to lose in the first round anyway, so I won't exactly waste all night. And then Kansas State and Wake Forest, I ended up taking Kansas State. In that one, the last time I actually won a game betting on Kansas State may have been like 1997. So let's continue. Top left-hand side of the bracket. Villanova and New Orleans, geez, no-brainer. Wisconsin and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's got a shooter's chance, but Virginia Tech lost its top rebounder, Clark, the power forward, about 7 games to go in the regular season. Wisconsin laid an egg for me personally on Sunday against Michigan in the Big Ten championship game, but I think Wisconsin clearly the better rebounding and better defensive team. Again, Virginia Tech's going to launch a lot of 3 balls in this game, but I think the Badgers will be able to outscore them and advance. Continuing down the first set of lines, Virginia North and NC Wilmington. NC Wilmington is a team, this is a contrast in styles. They are going to want to accelerate the tempo. You know what Virginia is going to do defensively. I always say you can't win if you can't score, and that's the Cavaliers' problem, as we saw in the second half of the season. But here's the thing to remember about NC Wilmington. NC Wilmington got stymied earlier this year when it took on Clemson. NC Wilmington had its hands full in the 2 regular season meetings against the best team in its conference defensively, the College of Charleston, even though they did beat the Cougars in the Colonial Conference championship game. If they could get shut down twice by Colonial Conference member College of Charleston and by Clemson in an ACC game, Virginia can do the same, and Virginia will advance. So this is a popular 5-12 seeding matchup that everybody's going to be thinking NC Wilmington is going to be a popular choice. This is not the 5-12 game to unload on the 12 seed. We'll get to that one later. Florida, East Tennessee State, Florida, no-brainer. SMU taking on USC. SMU is damn good, as you saw on Sunday when they kicked the hell out of Cincinnati in the rubber match of that series. Baylor and New Mexico State. New Mexico State is not a bad little team. They're going to play up-tempo. Baylor did not play well down the stretch, but they played in a tough conference. I do like the Bears, though, to advance here in the first round. South Carolina, Marquette. Again, a contrast in styles. You have a Marquette team that is a very good shooting team that relies on its guard play. You have a South Carolina team that is a strong defensive team, but much like Virginia, they have problems putting the ball in the basket. I took Marquette. I think this game could go either direction. Duke and Troy. I rode Troy throughout its Sun Belt tournament, including giving you a free pick winner when they took care of business on Texas State on Sunday and using them as my best bet on Saturday. But it's Duke. Seriously. We continue to the bottom half on the left-hand side of your tournament. Gonzaga. Enough said. Northwestern, Vanderbilt. I love Vanderbilt. I took them a number of times late in the season. I think the only reason the Commodores fell as the tournament progressed and lost to Arkansas is because they were an exhausted team. I do like Vanderbilt, however, to stop Northwestern. Notre Dame and Princeton. Princeton is not the Princeton that you probably grew up watching, a team that relied on its defense. They're not bad defensively, but they're more of an offensive team. But that's okay. So is Notre Dame. Notre Dame has the tournament experiences. I don't think they're going to get to the Elite Eight this year, but I do like the Irish in this one. West Virginia to advance easily. Maryland, Xavier, I wasn't impressed by either team down the stretch, but I took the Terrapins for no better reason than it's Maryland. Florida State taking on Florida Gulf Coast. Florida State, you take them out of Tallahassee, it's always a tough battle, but they're playing in Orlando. I'm going to go with the Seminoles in this one. St. Mary's, damn good. Can't beat Gonzaga, but I like the Gales in this one, especially with the way the Virginia Commonwealth really struggled down the home stretch. And Arizona, enough said. Now, let's continue on the left side of your bracket. So I have Villanova advancing against Wisconsin. Villanova, not as good as last year, but certainly good enough to beat Wisconsin. I have Virginia taking on Florida. Tough battle. I'm going to go with Florida, the more balanced team. Although Florida lost their starting center late in the season, I think that will hurt them, but they still have enough offensive firepower, and they can match Virginia pretty much with their defensive intensity, and I like Florida to advance to take on Villanova. Then I have SMU taking on Baylor, and I like the Mustangs to advance here. Yes, SMU is playing better ball. They are a thin squad. They only go 6 deep, really. But that 6 is good enough to beat Baylor because the Bears did not play well down the stretch. Marquette and Duke. Seriously, I like the Blue Devils. Vandy, love them to advance, but they're going home because Gonzaga is going to take care of business. Notre Dame, West Virginia. I don't like the Mountaineers. They have problems putting the ball in the basket. They have problems outside of Morgantown. I like the Irish here to work their magic once more. Maryland and Florida State, 2 inconsistent teams. Florida State really does have the talent advantage here. They also have the big guy, Isaac Bruce, in the middle, and I like Florida State to advance. St. Mary's and Arizona. If St. Mary's couldn't beat Gonzaga, are you going to beat Arizona? No. Wildcats advance. Now we continue to the next round in that side of the brackets. You got Villanova taking on Florida. Villanova advances, okay? You got SMU taking on Duke. You have Duke advancing. Villanova against Duke. Villanova, listen, I think Villanova is a very good team, but they're not as good of a team as they were last year. That's the bottom line. Duke is the most talented offensive team in this tournament if they're healthy. If Allen and Jefferson are healthy. You saw in the home stretch where with the nagging injuries, where Jefferson bothered by the foot injury and Allen bothered by a number of injuries, where Duke struggled. But you saw how they picked up the pieces, and they have so many pieces with Tatum and with Barry that they can kill you so many different ways offensively, and they've got the confidence after winning the ACC title, right? Villanova is in essence a 6 to 7 man team, and Villanova is a team that is prone to only go as far as its shooting will carry it because it's not the lockdown defensive team it was a year ago. That's the problem with the Wildcats. And if the Wildcats' shots aren't falling, they're going to have problems. And I don't think they can have enough defensive stops against Duke. So Duke is your first Final Four team. Arizona is going to beat Gonzaga. Arizona is going to be your second Final Four team. Listen, what Arizona did against UCLA in 2 meetings this year, what they did against Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. I like Arizona in this spot, and I like Arizona to take on Duke. And then I have Duke advancing. Once again, I have Duke advancing to the championship game. Now, let's move over to the second side of your bracket, the right-hand side. And why do I have Duke taking on Arizona and advancing? Because I think Duke's experience pays off. I think that although Arizona can certainly give them a battle, defensively, I still think Duke is the more talented offensive team. We start with Kansas and NC Central. Let's move to the next bracket. We go to Miami and Michigan State. Miami of Florida is a team that struggled offensively. And outside of Miami, I'm just not that impressed. Michigan State, this is not a very good Michigan State team. So, I could take the Hurricanes here, and I will. But again, I think it's a toss-up situation, and it doesn't matter because either team that advances is going to lose to Kansas. Iowa State and Nevada. You know, if you followed my video reports and you got my best bets as the season progressed, I was really on Nevada quite a bit late in the season. And this is a good team. They took care of business in the Mountain West Conference, winning the regular season title, beating Colorado State in the final Saturday of the regular season, beating Colorado State again at the Thomas & Mack Center in Vegas for the postseason title as well. This is a very good offensive team. Remember when they overcame that, 27-point deficit at New Mexico to win in Albuquerque earlier this year in a double overtime? They have a shooter's chance. The problem is Iowa State matches up so well with them. These are 2 guard-oriented teams, and Iowa State is a deeper team. Nevada, only a team that goes about 7 deep. They are going to be challenged in this game. It's going to be a damn good 5-12 matchup. Love the over in this game, but I like Iowa State to prevail. Purdue and Vermont. I'm going to go with Purdue. I don't think it's going to be a long tournament for the Boilers, but I like Purdue. Creighton and Rhode Island. I talked about Rhode Island many times here in the Atlantic 10 tournament. I like the way they're playing. They finished the regular season strong. They took care of business in the A10 tournament. That's the type of team I'm looking for in the first round. A Creighton team, yes, they managed to knock off Providence in their Big East opener, but this is a team that was inconsistent once they lost their senior starting point guard, Maurice Watson Jr., back on January 16th through a season-ending knee injury. Very inconsistent team, very weak rebounding team. Where Creighton wants to put 85 points on the board, you got a Rhode Island team that was a top 30 team defensively in the nation, led the Atlantic 10 in scoring defense, giving up only about 61, 62 points a game. They will impose their will defensively in this contest, and I like Rhode Island to advance. I like Oregon over Iona. Michigan and Oklahoma State. Listen, I thought Michigan's Cinderella slipper was going to finally fall off against Wisconsin on Sunday. Boy, was I wrong about that. If you can do what you did in 4 days in the Big Ten tournament, I will give you my support against an Oklahoma State team that was an overachiever this year, but struggled once again like so many other teams down the home stretch. I will go with the Wolverines to advance to take on Louisville because the Cardinals aren't going to have a problem with the Jackson State Peacocks. Yes, their nickname is, no, they are the Gamecocks. Jackson State Gamecocks. There you go. If you're on Jeopardy, that's their nickname. Okay, North Carolina is taking on Texas Southern. Okay. We go to the next game, right? Arkansas taking on Seton Hall. Interesting matchup here. I think Arkansas got lucky because it took on a Vanderbilt team that was exhausted. I think that's why the Razorbacks advanced. I think the Razorbacks go down here against a Seton Hall team that finished strong, gave Villanova all it can handle in the Big East semifinals. I think the Pirates, who have two very good guards and have a big man that can dominate here and a very strong defensive team, I think they can take care of business and advance in this game. 5-12 seed. This is almost unfair because the 12 seed, the best 12 seed in the tournament, is one of the better teams in the tournament in terms of a mid-major team, and that's Middle Tennessee State. Blue Raiders took care of business, cost me money earlier this week, cost me money when they took care of business against UTEP in the Conference USA semifinals in revenge, avenging their only loss during the regular season. When they blasted the Miners, a team that had won 13 out of its previous 16 games and had covered like 14 in a row at that point. But Middle Tennessee State is a high-scoring team that can also play a little defense. Minnesota, as you saw in its loss to Michigan in the Big Ten semifinals, is a team that really only has about 7 in its rotation. And when they lost one of their starting guards to a injury on Friday, the Golden Gophers, happy to be here after last year just winning 8 games, but it's going to be a quick exit. Middle Tennessee State is going to win. Butler, bad ending to the season, but Butler has enough to get through. Cincinnati, boy, Mick Cronin's team really laid an egg against SMU in the AAC Conference Championship game, but good enough to advance. UCLA will top Kent. Dayton and Wichita State, no-brainer. Wichita State got screwed. Should be a much higher seed than number 10. In fact, with the way Dayton played so poorly, I think these 2 seeds should be reversed in terms of their rating. Wichita State getting no respect. They advance, and Kentucky will take them on. Now, we continue in the second round or third round of the action. Kansas is going to take care of business against Miami. Iowa State, Purdue. I'm going with the hot team, and I'm going to ride the Cyclones in this one after they won the Big 12 title. Oregon, yeah, I like Rhode Island, but not enough to back them against the Ducks. Michigan and Louisville. Now, this is where Cinderella's slipper falls off because I think Louisville will be locked down defensively and use their superior size to take care of business against a Wolverines team that was dead last in the Big Ten in rebounding. And that's the one thing the Cardinals can do well. They struggle sometimes offensively, but they are going to hit the boards hard, and that's going to be the key to Pitino's squad. North Carolina, well, Middle Tennessee State, you Blue Raiders, you're going to go back home because the Tar Heels are going to take care of business. UCLA and Kentucky. UCLA, nice team. Very nice team to watch. Very explosive team offensively. But what's been their big problem all season long? They don't play enough defense. I'm not enthralled with this pick, but I'm going to go with Kentucky. Now, we continue to the next round. You've got Iowa State taking on Kansas. This game, right, in Kansas City. You've got Kansas taking on Iowa State. You've got these 2 teams that split their regular season meetings. I like Iowa State. I just never have been impressed by Kansas this year. Just not impressed by Kansas. I like Iowa State. That's one of my upsets. Plus, not every single number 1 seed is going to progress anyway. right? The odds are against it. So I like Iowa State to advance against Louisville, and I like Iowa State to make the Final Four. So that's my shocker. North Carolina taking on Kentucky. I'm sorry, Kentucky, but you've struggled offensively. I think North Carolina has the better productive inside game, and I'm going to go with North Carolina to advance, and then North Carolina to reach the championship game and a rematch against Duke. And Duke is healthy, and Duke is going to take care of business again. So there you go. What does it all mean? It means I have the Duke Blue Devils winning the whole damn thing. And it really means absolutely nothing, because if we don't make money betting on an every single day basis, that's all that really counts when it comes to these brackets. But listen, guys, I took you through the tournament. I wish you well. I would not agonize over these bracket picks because it will drive you crazy. And again, isn't it easier just to pick a game, any college basketball game in any of the tournaments, 50-50 betting proposition? That's where the money will be. Doesn't earn you bragging rights around the water cooler. Do they still have water coolers in offices? I don't know. But anyway, that's it. Good luck. Talk to you again tomorrow on the Daily Video Reports.